industry you are in, if you have been at a place in your life or your career where you may have been that one, that person, that thing, and someone comes in and of course, we're human.
Right.
Of course you feel insecure. Of course you feel protective. Of course you feel, wow, do I still belong here? What is going on? I felt like it was important for me to write because it also talks about a time in my life where I wasn't going to those tools of drinking and doing other things to help me cope with my anxieties. I had to go to other modalities like therapy. And then, and as people will read, it all was my stuff. It has nothing to do with her. It was all these things coming from the industry, I think also had a lot to do with it, of being the one female. I was even thinking, I guess I was holding on to that, thinking like, well, how can she be here and how can I be here? Which is stupid, which is so dumb. We questioned putting that in there, but I'm glad I did.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
I'm in a hell of a cutthroat industry myself.
Yeah.
And I'm always fighting against what people try to put in front of you, which is the temptation to be competitive.
Yes.
And
Hello and welcome back to the channel. So I want to talk about something I saw in the news recently. And I don't know if you guys know this already, but I am a barb. And I don't want to come off like super biased, but, it is what it is. So Eve, who's someone I've always respected, always, looked up to her just as an icon in general, she has came out and said something very brave and very interesting, and just the timing that she's coming out and saying it. Basically, I'm going to read you guys Nicki Minaj's response later, but what I want to say is how many times in my life I've experienced something like this. It takes a lot on both sides. I think we've all been intimidated by a person or felt like, maybe you're good at your job and a new hire's there and they have more degrees than you. They have more, rapport with certain people that are like your bosses. So you just feel like maybe that person is, coming to take your spot or something like that. But I feel like this is much more deeper than just, someone at your job that can replace you. This was like a combination of complex emotions, and I don't want to just go straight to jealousy because there's levels to things, and I think jealousy in itself is complex. Me personally, I think everyone's been jealous. Like, who hasn't? But that jealousy shouldn't remain jealousy. It should turn into curiosity. It should turn into, well, why do I feel this way? And what can I do to change it? If I know that, when I see certain things, it triggers something in me, that's up to you to fix that trigger. So I do find Eve very brave enough to speak about something like this, especially now and how the world is now, because their movie was a few years ago. And I think a lot of people are definitely intimidated by Nicki Minaj. They always have been. Her beauty, her talent, just the way she takes up space in a room, and the fact that she actually is, from what I've seen, a decent human being. And I believe that when you are such a beautiful person inside and out, some people can't take that. Like, some people need you to be beneath yourself. And just as, I never was like a super vain person. I'm not going to say that I don't have ego. It just was in other things, not my physical looks. But one thing I love about Exoticals United is that you kind of have to pay attention to that. Being beautiful is like currency, And even when she talks about social climbing, I'm a genuine introvert. I don't get any type of benefits or pleasure from being around large groups of people all the time. Like, it actually drains me. It's just not something that I find valuable personally, but I know for a fact that it's not about being the most likable or having all the friends in the world. Social climbing and having a good social group is good for your health. It's good for your protection. It's good for your reputation. And if you have the right people around you, it's also good for your mental health. But sometimes I feel like it's better to keep certain people at arm's length. And again, I don't have anything against Eve personally, but that's just a really weird thing to project onto another human being. And try to, now I get she worked through that, but I'm sure at the time, it was weird. And I'm going to read Nicki's response because it brings a lot more perspective into this, because it comes off like she was just basically saying she was intimidated. She felt like she was going to be replaced. And those are normal things that most people, have felt once or twice in their life. But this was so much deeper than that. This is giving, oh, I thought you were mean when I first met you. Oh, I didn't know, da da da. Basically, someone projecting a whole bunch of fucked up shit onto you because you're pretty and successful and likable. It's like they wanted a reason to hate. You ever know the people, oh, I don't know why I don't like her. It's just, I don't like her. The vibes are off. It's jealousy. If you can't pinpoint why you don't like someone. Now, I get some things, vibes do just be off. You don't know what it is. But chances are you've met that type of archetype in another person and you just don't like the person that they remind you of. There's usually a reason why you don't like someone. And when it comes to pretty girls, people just act like, I don't know, they just pull shit out of their ass basically and just project it onto us. And that's something I've definitely experienced in my line of work, in my personal life, with, people I choose to socialize with, is how many times I had to downplay my beauty, downplay, things that other people might find interesting me, especially around men. I think that if Eve and Nikki were just out on a girls trip or something, it wouldn't have been that bad. Maybe when they went out to the club, you know how you ever go out to the club with a girl and she's insecure and she, to her own beauty standard, she's less attractive than you, and she says little sly shit. I feel like if they were friends, that would have been the peak of it. But because they worked around a whole bunch of other men, I think that that's what drew out all of, the green monster, all the jealousy and stuff like that. Because some women are cool until they get around other men. And then it gets really fucking weird. So that's definitely the vibe that I get from this. And I think that Eve herself could be considered exotical. I don't know. I don't know if you guys do. But I think, let's say if she is, that's something I've always wanted to talk about, because sometimes and I don't want to make everything about skin and hair and texture, but why else would you be jealous of someone if not the way they look or the way they carry themselves? Y'all both rappers, y'all both successful, y'all both in the same movie doing the same thing, y'all damn near the same level, you know what I mean? So why else would you be jealous at it other than the way she looks? So I feel when it comes sometimes that people that are, let's say they're both considered exoticals, right? When one person is a little bit lighter than the other one, or has a little bit more of a foreign look than the other one, or let's just take looks out of it. When one person is considered more feminine for whatever reason than the other person, the jealousy can arise from that way. And that's what I saw when I saw this. I've been in situations where, let's say if I went out to the club or something and I was with, maybe another brown skinned girl, maybe a darker caramel, and maybe a chocolate girl, a dark skinned girl. And we all went out. The dark skinned girls I went out with, I know a lot of dark skinned girls that are extremely beautiful, extremely confident, extremely bubbly, really cute. And sometimes, let's say if someone feels they're close to your beauty standard but not close enough, they'll hate on you. I don't even know how to describe it, but let's say if you're a couple pounds lighter than someone else and they want to be your weight or whatever it is, you have a body part they don't have that they're interested in, they will compare themselves to you. And I feel I've even done this sometimes, not in terms of race or anything like that, but let's say if I know I want to drop 20 pounds and I go out with a friend and her belly is flatter than mine, I don't project jealousy, but I will be insecure, damn, maybe I shouldn't wear this dress. I don't want to be the only one with a beer belly or something like that. But that's when you put on a corset and cut your carbs next week. You don't project that onto someone else to think, oh, she thinks she's better than me because she's skinny, da 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 da. So sometimes when someone is your beauty standard, but you don't quite reach that. And I find that you ever notice that and I'm not even trying to be funny right now, but you ever notice people that are considered unattractive or below average, they be so confident, but the pretty girls be so insecure? It's because when you're pretty and you're close to being perfect, people like to pick at you. They like to point out, oh, if only you just lost 10 more pounds, or only if you just did this, only if you just wore your makeup like this, only if you could get rid of that acne. It's almost you feel you're just on display and you never get a break. And this is why I was talking about the benefits of ugly privilege in one of my older videos, because there's so many benefits to not being seen. There's so many benefits to not being the pretty girl, where you get to just live in the world scot-free. People really don't notice you unless you make a big deal about yourself. But when you're the pretty girl, it's all eyes on you. If you don't wear makeup one day, you look sick. If you're not happy and chipper one day, she got an attitude. And it's like people were just projecting shit onto you because they feel like you're so perfect in their eyes or whatever that you should do certain things. I don't know. That's definitely the vibe that I got from this. I'm really just yapping at this point, you guys. But I'm going to read Nicki's response. She starts by saying, "Dear Eve, the various things you've shared recently are groundbreaking in my opinion, and for so many reasons. First, thank you. The level of grace, the level of emotional and spiritual maturity it takes to be this vulnerable and transparent is a sign of true peace, happiness, and fulfillment, and mastery of self. Self-reflection at its height. I always say I think accountability is the sexiest trait a person can have. I was one of the kids in New York watching Rough Riders on TV. I definitely remember how when you took the game by storm that there were some people who couldn't hide their insecurities. Even though it's swept under the rug now, I remember that you handled it all with grace and also a big sprinkle of unapologetic talent and charisma. You soared and soared. Classic music with the illest team to the big screen. It made it look easy too. Trendsetter. The Eve blonde shirt cut, the Eve paw print tats on the chest. I was so nervous coming onto that movie set every day. You look like a pro, and I admired that so much. Thank you for trying not to do to me what was done to you. Women feel so much pressure to compete, and it's a shame because we usually have so much in common and could really benefit from another just as human beings. We all share so many of the same experiences as artists, wives, moms, ups and downs, anxiety, etc. I remember telling a friend of mine that I didn't think you liked me after our first day on set together. But you know something crazy? I swear I knew that you could tell deep down inside I really liked you. And so you went easy on me. Love the way the movie turned out. Also, Now, I know we've seen this type of
pretty.
rivalry in movies a lot of the time when it comes to women. But imagine being, someone that's worked hard for everything that they have and looking at someone else who you know has done the same. And, you on their side. This is their shit. And you're just so in awe. Because mind you, I'm pretty sure Nicki was a fan of Eve, So even though she's a superstar, it's still like meeting, people say never meet your heroes and stuff like that. So it's still like, a little kid in her somewhere. Oh my God, Eve. And how exciting that must have been for her and how nervous she must have been. Because I remember, and mind you, I'm a barb. So I remember when she was on set at Barbershop. And, if you know anything about Onika, she's always been in her acting bag. She went to LaGuardia High School. That is a school for performing arts. She wanted to be a singer and actress way before she got to rapping. So she always takes her theatrical appearances very seriously. So this is something that she genuinely wanted to master. And she's looking up to this woman, in a beautiful way. And here this woman is just looking down on her in the worst way. And I definitely know how that feels, having to like be a shell of yourself and walk on eggshells. And it's one thing if it was like respect, like when she talks about Lil Wayne be cussing and saying shit, and it's respect because it's like you're a master at your craft, and I'm gonna let you Mr. Miyagi me. I do what you say, not what you do. Jack it on, jack it off. Like sometimes when you're dealing with someone who is like, teaching you and you're their apprentice, that can be a little harsh on you. But that's not even really what this was. You were just being mean. You weren't giving her tips. You weren't saying, do that line again and being like a boss about it. You were just being standoffish and basically just waiting for something bad to happen so you could have a reason not to like her. And I've definitely been in that situation. So I just wanted to shine some light on this story and give Eve her props, because you got to be a whole lot of woman to admit something like that, especially to Nicki Minaj, because a lot of people, they have this disdain towards her, but that's another video. And something else I noticed is that when I saw this on the Shade Room, a lot of people were finding ways to make this negative, or finding ways like, oh, Nicki's finally being nice to the girls. And I'm just going to go on a Barb rant right here. Girl, what? I always wanted to know, how do Nicki Minaj, and I really think it's just because she's a bad bitch, because at some point, what are you hating for? But how does Nicki Minaj not support female rappers when you can't name one artist on this planet that has more female rap collaborations than Nicki Minaj? You can't name anyone. Name one artist on this planet who has more female rap collaborations than Nicki Minaj. Because all the girls y'all say she don't like and don't help out, she gave features to. And some of those were free. So I've always found that interesting, that no matter how generous you are, no matter how educated and talented and how seriously you take your craft, people will always find ways to project negativity onto you simply because you're the pretty girl, or you're the girly girl, or you're the feminine girl. So yeah, I found that really interesting. If you got to the end of this video, thank you and have a beautiful day.